Thank you very much for watching our webinars. I hope you like it. So my company WAPI is creating all of this, and I'll take my chance and tell you a little bit more about WAPI. If you're selling something, for example, you're selling wonderful sunglasses, you live in Italy and the Italian market is full of your sunglasses and everybody is very happy. So now you want to go global, you want to go international. So what you need to find the right sales channel, and then you need to send all these products to your customers. That's where WAPI comes in. We have integrated a huge amount of sales channels. We have huge amount of partners, service providers in e-com that will help you to expand to any country where you want. Send us an email, ask your question. Our key account manager will help you to grow your business to a new level. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you that you subscribe and stay tuned. Good luck. Hi, everybody. It's WAPI Webinars again. I'm glad to be here with you. And today with me is a wonderful guest, Vincenzo Toscano. Hi, Vincenzo.
How you doing? Thank you for having me here, man. It's a pleasure.
So, Vincenzo is founder and CEO at eComcy, and they're Amazon consultant and e-commerce strategist, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Actually, I'm as you said, the founder and CEO of eComcy. Basically, just to give you a quick intro, we're basically a full Amazon brand management agency, and we specialize basically on helping brands grow and scale on Amazon. So we do everything from there, from A to Z when it comes to selling on Amazon. Yeah.
Cool. Can you tell us a small short story about yourself?
Sure.
How did you come to e-com world?
Yeah, of course. So my story, so my background, basically I come from an engineering background, so nothing to do with e-commerce. I actually specialize and study aerospace engineering, and I was working in the industry for over 2 years. So I was working for Rolls-Royce. I was in the department of doing turbines for airplanes. So I was in charge of, actually each turbine usually has like a computer behind, like to do the control system, all the controls of the engine. So I was in charge of the team and working within the team. And basically, the reason why I jumped into e-commerce is because I come from a family that is business oriented. They have their own business, which is actually why I was born in Italy. But as I was 3 or 4 years old, my family moved straight away to Venezuela because it was meant to be the Dubai of Latin America. But we now know that's not the case. And then while working as an engineer, I wanted to do some extra money because I started to see that I was limited in terms of how much money I could do and the time I could take off and the location and so on. And then I basically encountered selling on Amazon, right? So I started using basically my money from my engineering job to basically launch products. From there, I created a brand, and from there, I started going to different events and so on. And from there, basically, after, talking to different people in the space, I was seeing that actually, a lot of people have amazing products, amazing brands, but they were struggling in terms of daily operations, how to do PPC, how to do listing optimization, to which countries to expand, and so on. And basically, by using my experience as an Amazon seller, I say, you know what, maybe there is a business opportunity as well besides selling, which is having also an agency to support the sellers. And that's how eComcy came to fruition. And now we've been in the market for over 3 years. We work with sellers from the US all the way to Japan. So the whole spectrum of Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a huge shift from engineering to Amazon selling. Right?
I know, Ama, it's been a huge jump. I mean, of course, one of the things I love that I think it connects with engineering is the fact of understanding numbers and all the thought process of how to get a product from zero all the way to scale, because it's also some kind of engineering thinking that you need to think all the way from the launch all the way backwards in terms of all the strategy step by step. And I like that fact that it's very technical and numbers orientated. So in that side of things, is very similar. Of course, it's nothing to do like making an engine or nothing like that. But I think the beauty of this business model is that it gives me the flexibility of of time, which was very important for me. And on top of that, the revenue. So I think when it comes to having as an entrepreneur, the vision that
Mhm.
you want to hit certain targets in your life, I think that was one of the roadblocks I had as an engineer, and now with with my business, it's been possible. Yeah.
Yeah, now in e-commerce, it's possible like to fly to the moon. There
Yeah.
is no everything depends on on your imagination, on your
That's right.
speed, and on your brain.
100,
Possibilities are there.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
So today we will speak about strategy to launch and dominate in Amazon Europe in 2023.
That's
So
right.
I guess you have some ideas how to dominate in Europe, right?
Yes, I think, of course, when it comes to selling in Amazon, there's always this initial question that where should I start? Should I start in the US? Should I start in Europe? And I think I want to point out on today's webinar the importance of making the decision right from very beginning, because I think a lot of people usually want to start in the US because they think, oh, it's the biggest market, it's the one that has the biggest revenue and search volume and on all that. But at the same time, that also have the negative side of things, which is the market is the most saturated market, it's more
Yeah.
competitive. Things are getting now more and more complex when it comes to taxes. We have seen some of the states now you need to do the taxes yourself. I mean, there are certain things that now are changing in the North American market, and I think that's where Europe now is becoming more appealing. And one of the things I love about Europe is the diversity that you have into this market, right? So the fact that you have all these markets, which is Italy, Germany, Spain, France, UK, Poland, Sweden, Belgium, and other markets that you can get through distance selling. It's amazing because now you go from having one market, which is the US, and one specific demographic, to having tens of demographics, which give you more diversity in
Yeah.
terms of cultures that you can attack, which is at the same time less risk because you can have more diversification when it comes to your business. And at the same time, if you do it properly, I think you have more potential to scale there compared to the US long term. Yeah.
Yeah, in Amazon Europe actually is working in a field where twice more people live. In Europe,
Yes,
it's more than 700 million people.
that's right. That's right. And I think it's a matter of time before the European market it becomes bigger when it comes to e-commerce, because we need to understand that the penetration of e-commerce after COVID and everything that happened, Europe is one of the regions that have the biggest penetration when it comes to e-commerce. And I think while things start to get easier, because I think one of the roadblocks in Europe is always being logistics and taxes. That's one of the things that people is so scared
Yeah.
about, and the language, of course. And I
But
think when it comes to taxes and logistics, things are becoming each year easier because governments are giving more options to sellers in terms of tax, in terms of logistics,
yeah.
importing. So I think as time goes by, that's why I think long term Europe can be a much bigger potential compared to North America that I feel is reaching the peak. You see what I mean?
As time goes by, WAPI is also becoming stronger and
Yeah,
stronger, and
I know.
logistics becomes easier and easier. So
I know. I know.
one thing we are making easier right now.
Yeah.
With taxes also there are already a lot of companies, not a lot of them, a number of companies, our friends who are making it very easy. So actually these blocks are already there are keys how to solve it.
Yeah.
So
That.
uh, again, what are the main benefits, like to mention them to expand to Amazon Europe? I heard the diversification,
Mhm.
the potential of the growth of the market, something more.
Yes. So I think the other thing that is the growth when it comes to the revenue and sales we're seeing in the European marketplace, which is what I just touched, which is the penetration e-commerce is having in e-commerce. When we see the numbers, each year is increasing dramatically from year to year. And that's why actually we see Amazon each single year they open more marketplace. I mean, last year they opened
Yeah,
Sweden and Poland, and now this year, and actually Belgium as well. And now this year, who knows which other marketplace they're gonna start opening more
yeah,
and more in Europe. And we know Amazon. Amazon is smart. I mean, if they're putting money in Europe and they're opening more warehouses and more, basically options for sellers in Europe, is because they know the potential that is in
yeah.
Europe, and I think it's a matter of time before it becomes bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, and what are the key differences between selling on Amazon Europe versus Amazon in other regions like North America or
Yeah.
Asia?
So I think one of the things I love about Europe, it comes down to the culture difference and the language difference between one country and another. And these can be positive or negative depending on how you see it. So it can be positive from the sense that if you put the hard work up front, which is a lot of work, and I need to be honest, but if you put the work of basically understanding each independent country within Amazon Europe ecosystem, and you localize your products, your branding, your listing, your images, or advertisement, there is much more potential due to the fact that a lot of people is not doing that because of the hard work that it takes. And then therefore you can take a bigger pie, a piece of the pie within this specific, in this case, your category within these countries. Now, what is the negative side of things? So the negative side of things, coming back to the hard amount of work that you need to put up front, because if you have a product and then you need to basically localize it across 7 to 10 countries, to some
Yeah.
sellers, that's a huge headache. That's time, that's money. And I think a lot of people, they just go the easy way, which is you're using Google Translator. They use the same images. They just try to be as big, going back to the benefit. If you do it professionally, which is what we're doing with our clients, we've seen a huge, basically a jump when it comes to the control of your specific category over time if you're doing the launch properly. Yeah.
So diversification is not so easy. You'll have to
Yeah,
like,
it takes time, like anything. I think diversification, like anything, like even with investing and property and whatever, it's gonna take time initially to do it properly. But I mean, what you prefer to make, let's say, $10 million just in the US, or make $10 million in Europe, but if let's say France gets taken down, or you're not anymore the top seller there, you go maybe from 10 million to 8 million, as an example. But in the US, you can go from 10 million drop to 4 or 5 overnight, just for the fact that it's your only you have all the eggs in one basket. But in Europe, if one market drops,
yeah.
you still have the other markets that are gonna maintain the growth and the consistency of your business. So that's the huge advantage you have there. Yeah.
Okay, sold. You tell a bit about this, like best solution to have a stable and a growing business. I accept it, and I want to go to Europe. So what I need to keep in mind, what most important considerations business need to keep in mind when setting up Amazon Europe strategy?
Sure. So I would say the first thing that you need to keep in mind is first making sure that your product is right for the market, right? And I think this is a very important thing that we also do with our clients, because I always have this thing that we have American clients that they want to go to Europe. But then when we do the keyword research and the market research, nobody's looking for those products in Europe. And sometimes due to culture, sometimes due to customer behavior, weather conditions, etc. And if you just do that based on assumptions, you can make a very expensive mistake, because you could eventually send inventory to Europe, which then, after doing everything when it comes to logistics, taxes, and all that, if then the product doesn't have a demand, what's the point, right? So number one thing we need to do when going to Europe, we need to validate that there is a demand. There are amazing tools out there that you can basically search what is the demand aspect at the keyword level. If there is basically some trends that are pointing that those search terms around your product are going upwards rather than downwards. And then based on that, we design a business plan. These are your margins. These are the countries we're going for. This is how much stock we need to go for. And then when it comes to preparing for all the logistics, we have WAPI, of course.
Thank you.
And then taxes, of course. You can use many partners in the space that they're amazing for that. And that's number one. So basically, finding that the product is right for the market. Second thing, when it comes to understanding when launching on these markets, which is, of course, logistics, taxes is part of this part. But the third thing that people don't do, and super important,
Mhm.
is basically when it comes to the legal and regulatory requirements of launching into these countries. Because if you have a product in the US, right, and you send it, let's say, to France, and let's say it's a specific product that requires certain kind of certification in France in terms of the quality of the material, of the safety of the material, of
Yeah.
making sure actually that the packaging is translated from English to French, and certain claims are made to be compliant with the French law. If you don't do that, we have seen that also been a huge setback for some sellers, because they just assume it's translating everything and that's it. But no, some of these countries you need to consider, they have different requirements when it comes even
Yeah.
to getting approved for the category on those countries. And it's important you do the homework upfront, because if you do all the hard work of translating and everything and you know the process, but then after 1 week you realize Amazon France send you a notification, oh, do you have this specific requirement to sell this product in France, and you don't have it, and your manufacturer doesn't have
Yeah.
it, all that money is wasted, right? So yeah, that would be the second point. That is that I would say is the third point, is making sure that once you have all the initial part, which is validation, and then you have the right partner for taxes and the right partner for logistics, making sure that you actually can sell that product in Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Europe has different legislation, especially with you comparing to US.
Yeah.
US sellers must read and analyze all the
Mm.
differences.
Yes, that's why I think it's key to hire somebody that can help you with product compliance, because Europe is another animal when it comes to law. I mean, there are some countries that are very picky, like for example, Germany, we know is very picky.
Yeah.
So we need to be careful with those things, of course, when launching in Europe. Yeah.
And also, it is not enough to translate everything in English. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
because,
actually on that point, I think I want to make some emphasis when you design your strategy for launching in Europe, make sure guys you have also the right partner for localization. And this means you need to have somebody on the ground, if possible, on those countries that can help you localize the product, because sometimes a translator is not enough. And why is not enough? Because you could have a translator that is American, that they study French and they know how to speak French. But sometimes the reality is that there are specific type of keywords, which is the slang of the language, which is informalities, phrases, terminologies, things that are trending in the country itself, that you need to be living in the country itself to
yeah.
do the connections, that sometimes a translator don't know how to put in words. And I think if you don't put that into consideration, especially we have seen that with some of our clients that they send trendy products that they're very new to the market. If you don't use those terminologies that people are using informally on the streets to refer to the product, the actions, the behavior, you could miss on a lot of search volume. You could miss on a lot of basically conversions that if the client doesn't do the connection with the product, you're gonna miss the sale. So I think it's very important that you find a partner to also help you with localization, like us, for example, that we can help you with that side of things as well. Yeah.
And this is also not only about language, it is some cultural barriers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Culture is huge. I mean, you need to consider, for example, when it comes to the yeah, if you go for example to France, right, when it comes to a specific type of behavior in terms of celebrations, festivities and all that, they are completely different in some instances, for example, to the one let's say in the UK, right? So completely different. So I would say it's very important not just the language, which of course is number one, it's also understanding that, for example, certain type of uh, actions and ways of explaining the product can be offensive sometimes for the culture or sometimes the religions of those countries. And that's why that must be part of your product research. You must understand from day one if the product you're selling there, it can be sometimes, they're not the right fit due to religion reasons or cultural reasons. And weather super important. Weather across Europe is very diverse, and sometimes there are
Yeah.
pros that could be a great fit for Spain, but not a great fit for the UK. So also take that in consideration. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4th of April. I'm now in Latvia, and it was snowing yesterday. It was
I
just like, wow, what is that?
I know. We have a
Yeah.
client that he sells a pros for sports, and
Yeah.
when it comes to selling the pros across Europe, you could see sales completely up in one country, completely down in one country. For example, on the running category, because when it's snowing, people is not gonna run right outside. So sales go
Yeah.
down. But in Spain, because it's sunny, people is all buying things for going out and hiking, and then things go up. So that's why you also need to understand seasonality based on the weather differences, because it's big when it comes to Europe as well. Yeah.
So after I have decided to go to Europe, I've got my product. I have localized the translations with a professional who knows the right keywords, and I know about the weather and cultural issues. How to promote? What is the best strategy for Europe to promote my products on Amazon Europe?
Sure. So I would say the first thing when it comes to also which is part of course of the launch phase, which is how you basically gonna put this product in front of as many faces as possible. That also needs to be done by somebody that of course understand the market somehow. In fact, what we do is, let's say we're working with somebody from France, we try to work with somebody that has experience previously with the French market, or at least has some kind of a presence in that country, because when it comes to advertising, it's very similar to also listing optimization. Because if you're running, let's say, advertisement, which is PPC, right, and you're targeting certain terminologies and phrases, imagine somebody that has to do all the thinking in English, and they need to translate every single time all the keywords they're targeting from French to English, and then making some kind of sense if that keyword maybe is not super relevant in terms of describing the product, but describe an action that could be related to the product and therefore bring you sales. That kind of thought process has to be done for somebody from the market. So that's why number one rule when it comes to the advertisement side of things, try to use
Mhm.
somebody either that knows very well, in this case, the language French, to do the advertisement properly, and also that has some previous experience, because they need to understand that some kind of behavior is different from market to market based on what I just described. Once we have done this, the number one thing that is working very well, of course, within the Amazon ecosystem is PPC. So that is number one. That must 100% be part of your advertisement strategy, because of course that's gonna give you the biggest basically purchase intent traffic, in terms of people that definitely want to buy your product, right? Because we always talk about social media, external traffic, and all that, but the reality is when somebody's on Amazon, they already made their mind. I want to spend my money. I want to look for
Mhm.
this product. I want to buy it. The difference compared to social media, external traffic, that's great. But I would say if you're launching Europe and you want to make the best return on your money, just focus as strong as possible first on PPC, because social media, external traffic is more a disruptive type of strategy, which basically some people is scrolling on social media or searching for something. You try to throw signals to them and try to convert them, and therefore conversion are much lower. So PPC, for sure. Of course, when it comes to other things you can do within the Amazon ecosystem, unfortunately, in Europe, we don't have yet things such as Amazon Vine or Amazon Post, for example. So therefore, I would say in Amazon right now, within the Europe ecosystem, the only thing you can do, at least on advertisement level, it would be a PPC. Yeah.
And you're helping sellers to optimize their PPC, right? And create their PPC strategies.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the things that we do once we do all the steps we initially mentioned, then of course we define what's the budget they want to allocate for the launch, what are the keywords we want to position ourselves in 3-6 months time organically, because that's another very important thing which I was mentioning last week when I was on Milan doing a presentation also to Italian sellers, is that the success of a launch
Mhm.
is the organic ranking you get, right? Because I haven't met a single person as an Amazon seller that they have a profitable Amazon business that rely only on sales coming from advertisement. The reality is that long term, you want to make sure that you position your product on keywords. Therefore, you have a ratio of around 60-70% coming from organic. That means you are not paying for the traffic, you are getting position on those keywords, and the remaining
Mhm.
30-40% is advertisement. Why do I mention this? Because initially, and when I was in Italy, some people say yes, but the initial 2-3 months, I wanna be making money. I'm advertising, so I wanna have a margin on my advertisement. And the reality here is that initially, when you're launching, especially in only with Amazon PPC, the goal here is not to make money through advertisement. The goal is to get you positioned organically. So to clarify, basically what we're talking until now in terms of advertisement, we need to make sure that once we do this launch strategy, guys, in Europe, and I mean not just Europe, all Amazon, we need to make sure that Amazon PPC is a means by towards an end product, which in this case is the organic ranking we want to achieve. Yeah.
Okay. And so the data analytics tools are the same for all the Amazon marketplaces. How to track the performance of Amazon in Europe? It's absolutely the same, or something interesting there?
Yeah, so when it comes to metrics that you can track, there are some difference between the US and Europe. So, for example, brand analytics has less metrics that you can track in Europe compared to the US. That's always going to be the case. We all know that when it comes to new reporting, new tracking, they first rolling out in the US. Based on the feedback, they roll out across all the other marketplaces. So Europe, yes, you have a little bit less data when it comes to brand analytics if you're a brand register. But at the PPC level, I would say it's very similar. So at the advertisement level, you shouldn't have any major KPIs that you should need at the beginning. There are some more high level KPIs that are not available in PPC. But again, at the very beginning, those are not going to be your priority. And when it comes to tracking, I will say that that's very important that from day one you also have a tool for that, because I know a lot of people like to have the app on their phone. That basically what they do with that, it just track their sales, right? To the Amazon Search
Mm-hmm.
Central app. But the issue with that app is that it's very limited. It doesn't give you metrics such as, for example, your ACOS, your TACOS, what are your specific KPIs in terms of comparing previous periods. Also, is basically very raw data that you cannot manipulate, and therefore what I would advise you to do is get a software tool that can allow you to basically track all the different metrics at an account level, at the category level, at the product level, all the different KPIs, and also be able to get alerts. There are amazing tools out there that you can get alerts when, for example, you lost the buy box, you're out of stock, you're gonna go out of stock, your performance is dropping, recommendations for improvement. So make sure you get a tool like that, because if you try to just go by what Sales Central gives you, you could try to make some sense by downloading multiple reports and doing manually, but I can guarantee you, you're gonna most likely miscalculate what you're making and where you're heading. So number one thing is have an analytical tool that from day one you can see all your metrics transparent in terms of what's going on.
I'm sure everybody is interested in the names of the tools that you need to conquer the Europe. Do you have them? Something in
Yeah,
mind?
so I have a couple of ones. So for example, the first one that comes to mind when it comes to analytical data, and we actually use them, is, for example, Merchant Sprint is very good for that. Then you have other tools, for example, a Helium Time is also good when it comes to analyzing your metrics and everything around what is happening in your business. Then there's other tools, for example, like Junkolytics, which is also good for tracking your metrics. I mean, these are a Seller Board, for example, is also well known for tracking your metrics. So these are some of the top I can think on from my head. Of course, there are many more, and it's gonna come down to what you want in terms of pricing, packages, coverage.
Yeah.
But we'll say at the end of the day, the best advice when it comes to tools is just try them, see which one fits better your taste, because sometimes there are ones that are very good, but you don't like the layout. Some of them, the layout is great, but maybe the metrics are not perfect. So try to find a balance between what fits your needs, and then just go for it. Yeah.
Okay, and accept the hard work and diversity, taxes, some legal thing. Are there something more biggest challenges for businesses that they will face while launching their Amazon Europe?
Yeah. So I would say one of the main things that people struggle a lot is also pricing in Europe, and people don't talk a lot about that. And the reason for that is because it's difficult sometimes to have the same price across the board, because first of all, taxes are different, costs are different in terms of logistics and so on. And therefore, this can be a huge nightmare sometimes for Amazon seller, because you could have, let's say, a 30% margin, right? And then based on that 30% margin, you need to then come up with around 10 different price points for 10 different countries. And then you need to basically try to understand how these price points can vary depending on seasonality, how they can vary based on competition, how they can vary based on maybe you have more stock on France, so you need to lower price, and how you eat that cost across your other countries. So I think pricing is a huge thing, because it's not as easy as the US that you say $30 and that's it. Here you may have 30 euros in France, $25, 25 euros in Spain, 25, 27 in Italy. And these fluctuations, if you don't keep a close eye, sometimes we have seen clients losing money because they think they're making money as a whole. But when you go on the country level, maybe all the countries were losing money, but the only reason why it looks positive on the P&L is because UK is actually sustaining all the profits. So that's why you need to have also P&Ls at the country level to make sure you also do strategies at the country level, because you must have one at the European level, of course, your total revenue and what you're doing and everything, but also the country level. Otherwise, you may find those examples, as I said, that you may have a lot of countries in red and just like 2 or 3 are bringing you the green numbers, which at the end of the day, if that's the case, then the red ones must be either removed or adjusted, right?
Yeah, but you always want believe in some potential, even in the red countries. You believe that it will grow and bring you some profit.
I know. I think at the end of the day, that's also something that you need to consider as part of your strategy. So, for example, we have clients that they might say, okay, I'm very strong in Germany and France, but maybe Spain and Italy are slower right now. But I'm willing to basically make sure that whatever I'm making extra in this case, France and Germany, I use it to basically fund my growth into this marketplace that's lower. So that's part, of course, of your thought process. It's just that it's easy to say, but the issue is how you actually do that and track the cash flow of one country to another. Make sure you actually track profitability, and that's why having a tool that can give you to the most simple detail the metrics, that's the only way you can do this properly. Because if you try to do it just by eye or looking at Sales Central, I can guarantee you will fail. You need a tool that give you from A to Z everything that you need when it comes to your expenses and growth. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have already the product. We have launched it. We're optimizing our PPC, controlling the PNL, but we need to think about the future.
Yeah.
So what are the trends? What changes in Europe? What can you say about this?
Yeah. So I would say one of the things that is very important to take in consideration is that everything that happens in the US most likely is going to happen in Europe. So we have seen this trend happening for years now. Every
How
single time.
fast? How fast? Do you know what is the gap?
I would say the gap is usually 1 to 2 years. That's usually the gap I see there. So usually if something comes in US, usually within 1 year to 2 years, you see it being rolled out to Europe. And of course, taking consideration that it was successful in US, because sometimes things are released in the US, but if they don't get enough traction, Amazon's gonna say, I'm not gonna put more money to put the same in Europe. That wasn't successful on my strongest market, right? So that's a thing to consider. And I think for all you sellers that of course want to stay on top of that, number one advice is that you need to be on top of your game. So even myself, I mean, I manage an agency where we have a lot of clients and team members that they are specialized on this, but even myself, I still listen every single day to podcasts, read to newsletter. I'm in LinkedIn scrolling, blogs and everything, because I mean, I even feel it like when I go on holidays for 1 week and I come back, oh my God, everything changed. Like new strategy to launch a product, a new PPC strategy, a new report from Amazon. And if you don't stay on top of that, you can get behind very easily. And I have seen that a lot with sellers that they made a lot of money in the good days of 2014, 2015, where you could throw anything to the wall and you will make money on Amazon. And they try to have the same thought process of, I just get something very fast from Alibaba, put it on Amazon, then go to the beach. They're struggling now because now the platform is becoming more and more professional. You have actually now huge brands and companies that have specific units just dedicated to Amazon. And if you're not on top of your game when it comes to trends, I think you're gonna struggle. And basically to conclude my point is that if you're selling in Europe, always try to analyze also what is happening in the US, right? Because sometimes there are strategies and things that are being discussed around the American market, like in webinars, blogs, and things like that, strategies that they haven't arrived to Europe yet. And if you take advantage of those strategies, especially if you speak English and you can get that knowledge, maybe somebody from France that doesn't speak English, they don't have access to that knowledge. But because you do, you can bring knowledge from a market that is more professional ready to bring that trend before and take advantage of that trend before it explodes and become common sense in Europe. So
Yeah. And what about maybe some trends that are going to happen in 2023? Maybe you have something to share already with the audience.
yeah, so I think some trends that are gonna be happening in Europe, and I already see some movement happening, is at the branding level. So we know Amazon is investing a lot on focusing on giving us as much support and as much leverage when it comes to sellers that focus on building a brand. Because I feel Amazon over the years, due to the criticisms of becoming a market, sometimes that people say, oh, there's no real it's just cheap product, there's not really branding there or anything. Amazon now, they actually want to become a more premium platform, and we have seen with all the benefits that you get by being brand registered and so on. So number one trend I see, for example, tools such as, for example, Amazon Live, Amazon Posts, Amazon Inspire, all these things. I think in the next max 1 to 2 years, they're gonna be in Europe because they have been working very well in the US. And for example, for those that don't know, Amazon Live is basically that you can live stream. And even myself, I have done a tool for that. That basically what we do is we basically find influencers, and let's say you're selling this cup, right? But you are not very good with the microphone or with the camera, and you want a nice person to do it for you. Basically, you can have a professional like influencer that will go live, be very interactive, talk to the chat, be jumping around, whatever you want to do. And this concept comes from the QVC model in the US, which a lot of people, I'm pretty sure maybe you remember back in our times, it was very common you would be scrolling your TV channels and you come across a channel that they're selling you something in the TV, like maybe nice for the kitchen or accessory for the house, a vacuum, the same concept. But the huge difference is that it happens with the Amazon platform. So just by a few clicks, you can see what influencer is talking about. You click on the product and you purchase. So that's definitely coming to Europe. And I think that's going to become a much bigger tool in the long term, because if we go to Asia, most of the shopping and most of the marketplace in Asia is video. If you go right now to, for example, one of the Asian marketplace, you see videos huge all over the place. And I think that's also going to be coming from the US, which is already happening to Europe. So that's number one. Amazon Post. So Amazon Post is also something that is branded oriented. It's like basically having like an Instagram, but within Amazon. So you can do posts and basically announcements around your brand. You can build followers. And from there, basically what you could do is you can gain a certain community. And when you launch products, you do promotions, things can get more viral. That's definitely also coming to Europe. And Amazon Spire, which is something very interesting that started happening 2 to 3 months ago, that might take a little bit longer to come into Europe. But that one is basically trying to reciprocate what is happening with TikTok. We know with TikTok shopping, basically they give you now recommendations based on your behavior in terms of browsing, your taste, etc. Amazon is doing the same with Amazon Inspire. So basically what you do, you're scrolling, is like also like an Instagram, but when you're scrolling, basically you could see the influence, certain influences that can be within the program to showcase a product. And then when you click on the image, then the image will pop up basically the link to the product. And let's say I'm an influencer, I'm put a picture like this with the cup, then you could put the finger on the picture, and then it like a cloud will come up of the picture, say, oh, this cup is like $10. You click and you go to it. And the beauty of that, of course, is that the influencer gets commission on that. And then from your side, with this Amazon Inspire, you can say, just show me posts around sports and outdoors, because that's my test. Then that's all you're gonna see, products around sports and outdoors. And I think that personalization in terms of shopping, of course, is also coming to Europe once this concept is fully proven in the US. Yeah.
So what is the name of this tool? In US, it
Um,
is. You say it is already working.
Yeah, that's right. So if you put right now Amazon Inspire,
Mm-hmm.
and basically, let's say it's in the US, you download it, and it's like an Instagram, but with shopping features. So basically, you just scroll,
Wow.
you need to open your profile. Once you open your profile, it's gonna ask you what is your like your age, your taste around different type of things. Like when you open Pinterest, that they ask you your avatar. The same thing here, and based on that
Mm-hmm.
information, then they show you pictures of influencers wearing certain products that could be the right fit for you, and then you can make the purchase from that, right?
Okay, I think this could be a future.
Yeah.
You remembered about QVC. I once, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, I was at their warehouse in UK.
Mm,
At
okay.
that point, they were dispatching like 125,000 orders
Wow.
per day. And I was just amazed because it was fully automated warehouse. And you know how they loaded the trucks?
Wow.
The truck came to the warehouse, it opened the roof, and all the parcels, they were like they were thrown
Wow.
through the roof to the truck, full truck. Then this truck went to the city where it was like
Dispatch. Yeah.
dispatched to the addresses. But 125,000 orders per day.
Crazy.
It was crazy. So I believe that you're right. If there will be a TikTok or Instagram with focus on selling, it
Yeah.
will be something like huge change to in the e-commerce field.
Yeah. And why do we think Amazon is pushing so hard with the Amazon Fire for your TV, Alexa, all these different things? Because the goal long term is to control all your ecosystem. So then they know
Uh-huh.
what is your taste. And then basically it's like having QBC, but in presence, you with voice, with what while you are watching a series, then the series say, oh, you're watching this series and they're using this accessory to do this thing, and then the pop-up will come and you could buy while watching a series. All these things are coming, but that's why we see Amazon pushing so hard into getting into all the households, because the goal here is to, based on your behavior, based on what you are as a person, then we customize the shopping experience for you, and then we make it as accessible as possible, like QBC, just with a phone call. You got it, right?
Wow,
Mhm.
that's a very interesting view on the future.
Yeah.
What about exact success cases? Do you have any success stories of businesses that launched and dominated in Amazon Europe?
Yeah, so we have, for example, we have this pet brand that they were selling pet accessories and all that kind of stuff in the US. They were making, I think, around 5 to 7 million in revenue. So they were already a good seller in the US.
Mhm.
However, they wanted to focus into reaching 10 million, and they already had a big control of the market. And when we did the analysis around the US and everything, we analyzed that the money it will take us to grow the revenue to 10 million or even more in the US market due to the already the control they had, and the competition, it would be similar expense to actually try a new marketplace. And I would say, rather than try to be creating a monopoly here in the US and trying getting control of everything, which I know some sellers want to do that, why don't we diversify and try new
Mhm.
markets where you haven't touched around? And then what we do is we basically brought the pros to Europe and everything. Boom. I mean, it was a complete success because of course some of the products are patented as well. They are very nice products. And we went from this 5 to 7 million now over 15, almost 20 now, right? Because now they went
Wow.
from doing just the US to they're doing all the European as a marketplace, and now they're even gonna try Dubai,
So
Australia.
their European marketplaces altogether became bigger than the US marketplace.
Yeah, so they're becoming bigger now. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really a success case.
Yeah, so it's a huge thing, and they were very happy. Of course, this took time. It's not something that it can be done in a few months. I mean, we've been with
How
them.
much time did it take on them?
So to do the full launch, I think 1 to 2 years, for the simple fact that they're doing all Europe. So they're doing all the European marketplaces,
Hmm.
So we need to do all the listings for the countries, all the emails for the countries, all the PPC, yeah, it was a nightmare, but it was a good case.
Yeah, I'm sure now you've got a lot of experience.
Yeah. So we got a lot of issues when it comes to taxes, suspensions, legal things. So
Cool. So we're slowly moving to the end of the webinar, and usually at the end, I'm asking similar questions to all my guests. Uh, I want to ask you, like, in short, can you give our viewers the takeaway, like what to do, very short sentence, like to dominate in Amazon Europe?
Mhm.
One takeaway, how to succeed.
So I would say my quickest win for most of the clients that come to us, and this is my advice to you in terms of dominating in Europe, is make sure you tailor your offering to each market, which is localization. And I know we hear localization a lot all over the place, but it's true. I mean, so many times we have seen brands doing millions of dollars and they come to us. And when you see the listings, it's basically Google translation. It's like, mind blowing, right? Or they're using, for example, pictures of people that's definitely on the look like they look like American people, and they're selling that product, let's say, to people in France, right? Or people in
Mhm.
Poland, and it's like you didn't even put the effort to tailor your images for the culture and everything there. So localization is key, and I would say just by doing that, I'm pretty sure you're gonna see a huge jump on sales, because that's usually the thing that we first do when we onboard clients, and we always see a jump in performance. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest tip. Make sure you localize. And I know it's expensive sometimes, especially if you're doing also images and all that. But trust me, it's better that you put their money there rather than think, oh, I'm gonna try to fix it with PPC, because what's the point of putting that money on the launch and PPC if your conversions are gonna be bad, and long term you're not gonna stick the landing because you didn't do the foundation properly. So put more money
Mhm.
there rather than on the launch if possible, because that's where you're gonna get the success. Yeah.
When you say about localization, have you tried the Chat GPT to do
Hmm. Yeah, ChatGPT. I mean,
it?
that's an interesting one. I think we have tried to do listings with that, so we have tested around with different languages and everything. I think it's good to help like the team sometimes to come up with ideas of bullet points or how to say certain things and everything. But the reality is when we actually do a proper check across the listings, it still feels robotic. It still doesn't feel natural sometimes.
Yeah.
And what we have done is like we could use ChatGPT. Let's say we have client that they have 50 listings. We use that to initially get the structure only like, okay, we need to have 5 bullet points that mention this, and this based
Yeah.
on the research ChatGPT, and then the copywriter comes, localize all the content that they think this, so rephrase it, do everything properly, and then from there, that's where you have the best end product, because you have the basically ChatGPT helping you save a lot of hours, which for a copywriter, the thing that take the most time is when you have a blank piece of paper and you don't know where to start from, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a structure, you save 4 or 5 hours per listing, and then you put your talent where it really is worth, which is actually thinking about how to make it funny, how to make it appealing, how to make it look smart, how to change around
Yeah.
the syntaxes of the sentences, and making sure you are using the right keywords. So
So ChatGPT at this point is a tool that can't make all the work for you, but can make it easier 100%, right?
yeah, I would say for Amazon side, definitely you need to look into that, because we have already done some processes automated with ChatGPT, like for example, these listings, as I mentioned around. We also have done it, for example, when we did need to do some kind of a product analysis. Like for example, you could give to ChatGPT, this is the product and these are the features and this is what people think about this product. Give me ideas about how I can make the product better, and then it give you
Hmm.
ideas, and then you could use those ideas to either fix it at the production level or at the design level. So that's one way you could use ChatGPT. You could even use it for PPC. So there's a lot of cases out there how you could use PPC to even optimize your campaigns. We don't do that because I still believe PPC is something I would trust more on my team to do it. But it's something you could give it a try. And images
Yeah.
you could also do with ChatGPT and combine with other things. So you can do everything pretty much right now with ChatGPT. The only thing is, I would say, don't go blind and think that everything can be done by ChatGPT, because I still feel like there needs to be some kind of human interaction that to basically bring that maybe 50, maybe 60% good enough work to that 90, 100%. That is what we need to succeed
Yeah.
on Amazon. Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you. Yeah, and so the second question I usually ask is what not to do. Like, no, what not to do. The short takeaway: how not to fail in Europe.
Yeah. So the first thing is don't launch in all the countries at once. Number one mistake I see
Okay.
people, yeah, I'm gonna control the world. I'm gonna go for all Europe at once, and they register for all the VAT at once. They get a huge
Yeah.
bill for paying all this VAT all around. Then they send inventory to all these countries. Is a mess. And then they realize, oh, actually my markets were only Germany and UK, but now I have inventory in Sweden and Poland. I don't know what to do with it, right? So I would say first, focus on the markets that you think can be the strongest. I would say maximum start with 2 to 3 markets. Use that. Ideally, what I do with some of our clients, I start with the UK and Germany. I build my
Hmm.
pillars there because those are the strongest. And then I use Germany to do the pan-European to start expanding across Germany. Then eventually, of course, if I don't want to do the pan-European, initially I could do the EFN, which is basically a sell from distance from Germany. And the UK, of course, because it's not part of the pan-European, I need to do it separate from Germany. That's why I say UK and Germany. And then from there you start expanding. So I would say first thing you can do UK and Germany, starting EFN in Germany to test all the European marketplaces. If you see with the EFN, Italy and Spain, they're picking up, you activate pan-European for Italy and Spain, or across all the countries that's the case. And then, of course, when it comes to importing, which is another huge tip here, of course, and logistics, you need to have a partner like WAPI, because I think another huge mistake I see people doing is they try to do all this kind of navigating the logistics of things, moving inventory by using different people, sometimes Amazon, and I can guarantee you that there's something's gonna go wrong there. So you need somebody that is expert and they know what they're doing. And I think that's why having somebody that's WAPI is also key here, especially if you're moving big volume of inventory. You need to have somebody that understands how to do that efficiently across Europe. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last question will be to Vincenzo engineer.
Yeah.
So, a short takeaway: how to engineer a successful life in general.
That's a good question. I would say the answer for that is keep learning. And I know is a basic answer, but it's true. I think the reason why I did the jump from being somebody doing engines to selling online is because every single day I was hungry for learning something new, how to do my own business, how to do extra money, etc. And the reason of keep learning, that's what opened my mind to new ideas. Those ideas, of course, then need to be executed. And by execution, that's how you bring change to your life. So I think if you try to bring some change to your life without actually listening to maybe, podcasts, reading things that, basically give food to your brain to actually come up with ideas, you're gonna struggle to actually get out of that basket that you wanna change, right? That's why you need to keep learning, listen to different opinions. Sometimes I listen to even opinions that I don't agree with because I want to try to force myself thinking why that opinion maybe is not the right one, right? So you need to
Mhm.
try to do that to make sure that your brain over time and your subconscious is gonna do that automatically. You're gonna come up with the right path for you to take that step forward and basically re-engineer your life. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think it's an absolutely great webinar today.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
It's been a pleasure for me.
I know that you have prepared some special offer for the audience, right?
That's right. That's right. So basically, we have a unique offer. So WAPI. So basically, all the clients that come from WAPI in this webinar. So make sure that when you reach out to us, I'm also gonna give a link for you to put down below. Use a WAPI ECAMC 15, right? And it's gonna give you an exclusive 15 discount on whatever service we can offer you. And basically this is going to make sure that you get that advantage as a client when you come through this network. And more than happy, of course, to help you with everything I just mentioned, which is our specialty is brand management. So if you have a brand, you have a product, but you're struggling in terms of how to scale it, how to make it profitable, how to expand to the right countries, my team can make sure that, of course, give you the right basically strategy to make sure that that's done efficiently. If you want 30 minutes free in terms of my team, myself, you can also go to a website, and I'm gonna give you the link as well. We give you 30 minutes without commitment. You can ask me any questions. You can ask me, anything around selling in Europe. I'm more than happy to provide you with that value as well as part of this offering. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vincenzo. So all the contacts you'll find down there under the video.
Yeah, that's right.
And I hope you have liked our today webinar. Any questions about logistics? If you want like to create new products, do the marketing, and don't bother yourself about the logistics all over the Europe, you must know that WAPI is there. We will help you all over the Europe. We've got warehouses like almost everywhere.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yeah. So please contact us and we will help you. And of course, please stay tuned. We're trying to make new webinars every week, and we will be glad to see you in the next one. Thank you.
Alex.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Vincenzo.
See you in the next
Bye
one.
bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.